An Italian wedding is always a good idea, but there's some benefits that you might not have thought of, so let me tell you more. Ciao, I'm Lucy, wedding planner and founder of Lista, and here over on our YouTube I provide a weekly dose of wedding inspiration for the Italian planning couple. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell below to make sure that you're updated every time we release a new episode. We're here with the aim of giving you up-to-date, clear and honest advice for your Italian wedding planning. So let's get into it. So there are some really obvious benefits to Italian wedding planning. The first one is obviously the weather. But let me tell you, it does rain in Italy. In fact, today I'm here in Tuscany and there are thunderstorms due. We've all seen pictures of stunning Italian wedding ceremonies and dinners outside under the starlit sky. But let me tell you, it does rain in Italy. There is a better chance of good weather in Italy, but obviously it depends on the time of year and the region that you choose for your wedding. For example, in the lakes, it's often rainy, especially in the late summer. It rains almost every single day. Number one rule for this is to have a great wet weather plan. If you don't like tents, then make sure you don't book a venue where you're going to need a tent for your plan B, because your plan B is potentially quite likely. If you've chosen a venue that has a really nice indoor option for your dinner that you wouldn't mind having for your wedding day, that is going to make your whole planning experience so much better. And if you come to the point where you have to decide to use that plan B, it won't be disappointing. And if you do choose a venue that doesn't have a plan B, but you don't mind a tent, then just make sure that that tent is in your budget from the start of your planning. There's a whole host of stunning settings, from the rolling hills of Tuscany, the gorgeous lakes in Como, the amazing coastline in Amalfi. Italy has everything. But these settings aren't that easy to navigate, and they take expertise and they take a lot of logistics. So for example, in Amalfi, there's a whole thing around transport because the roads are quite hard. You've got all those gorgeous cliff lines with all of those villas on. There's something called facchinaggio, which is where you actually have to pay for extra transport and extra people to help move things around in that space. So you really do need expert teams as part of your wedding planning, and you also need to factor these things into your budget. The best way to do this is to talk to someone with experience, like a planner or a caterer, and get this information from the start when you're exploring these different areas. Another thing to remember when you're thinking about an Italian wedding is often we're advised that it's a bit cheaper to have a wedding that's a little bit more remote, so maybe somewhere deeper into Umbria. But if it's deeper into the countryside, you've got to remember that the infrastructure in Italy is not that great, especially when you get into the countryside. And again, that means you need people that know their areas, that know the infrastructure, and have factored all of this into your budget. So don't go after the kind of cheaper price tag of a wedding that's a bit more remote, because eventually, potentially, you'll end up where you would have been if you'd had a wedding in a different region. The third benefit has always been the value of an Italian wedding. So we've always said that you can have maybe 3 days of events and you get a lot more for your money than if you had a wedding at home. And despite COVID and price increases across almost every supplier category, I think that's still the case. So the average wedding in Italy has got more expensive, but the value is still there. So for the same price as an at-home wedding, you can have a venue that you rent for a number of days where you get to stay with lots of the people that you love, and you get to have 3 days of events and all of that time with everybody. The other thing is the catering is still good value. So it's slightly more expensive than a wedding at home, but you get so much more. The catering at an Italian wedding runs from the start of the ceremony all the way through to the end of the day, and it is abundant. It is definitely better value than in many other countries. The fourth benefit, if you find this a benefit, is that you can have less guests to your wedding. Okay, I said it, but choosing to have a wedding abroad means that you can potentially skim your guest list a little bit if that's what you want to do. Be careful of over-inviting on your guest list. We find that 95% of guests that are invited to an Italian wedding grab the opportunity and go. The fifth benefit, and the one that potentially I'm the most passionate about, so from being at so many Italian weddings and experiencing this feeling myself, is the vibe of the wedding. Now this comes from your guests being holidayed, being calm, they've enjoyed some of Italy already, they've eaten really well, they've seen you a couple of times before the wedding. It creates the most gorgeous feeling on a wedding day, and it's completely unbeatable. As long as you've made it easy for your guests to get to Italy, to get to the wedding and enjoy the time with you, then this vibe will be there on your wedding day, and it will create the most amazing atmosphere and feeling around your day. And I would argue that it absolutely can't be replicated. The sixth benefit is food and drink, and to be honest, I don't think I need to explain this. Basically, an Italian wedding is an absolutely amazing experience for you and for your guests. And I can say that from being at many weddings every single year and seeing hundreds of people enjoy them. People come up to me all the time and say how incredible it is being at the weddings, that it's the best weddings they've ever been to. And that's largely down to the Italian wedding and all of these benefits. And I got married in Italy myself, so I know exactly how it feels to do it. It was the best decision we've ever made. We had the most amazing time, and that's why I created my job, so that I get to experience it again and again. Thank you for watching this episode. If you like it, please give me a little like and comment below. Let me know where you're thinking about getting married and if you've got any other benefits you can think of. And don't forget to come over and join our community on Facebook. We've got hundreds of couples over on there having conversations all the time. They're giving advice to each other, tips, they're sharing venue and supplier information, and my team are in there too, giving advice and supporting people. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.